everybody, my name is Myra and welcome to my channel. Today I bring you a monthly recommendations video, which I hadn't done in like a long time, so I'm happy to be able to do this one because I'm super excited. So if you didn't know, monthly recommendations is a Goodreads group that I joined and is hosted by Trina from Between Chapters and Kayla Rain, and I will link down their information down below. Anyway, like I said, I hadn't done one of these videos in a long time, but when I saw the topic for this month, I was like, I have to, because it's on one of my most favorite things ever, which is historical fiction. So excited! So freaking excited! Historical fiction is one of my favorite book genres, and a lot of my favorite books are historical fiction, so I was like, I have to. So I have a couple of books to show you guys today. Actually, I have 4, and they all take place within the 1900s, so let's get started. I will start from the beginning of the 19th century, and I will walk myself onto the latest 1900 book. I obviously don't know what I'm saying. So book number 1 I have to show you is A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith. I don't know if you've heard about this book, but I have talked about it in my channel before. This book takes place in the early 1900s, and it follows this little girl. Her name is Francie Nolan. It just follows her story and her family's story growing up in the early 1900s in Brooklyn, New York. And it's a really good read. It's a coming of age story. It follows her throughout her life pretty much. You see the story of her parents and her parents meeting and even her grandparents, and it follows her story and her brother's story. She is also the daughter of Irish immigrants, so it's really nice to see that side of her family and history. So anyway, I really love this read. It is a very heart-wrenching book because it's pretty sad. It has really sad parts, but it also has really heartwarming parts where I mean, it's great. Another thing about this book, also, actually a lot of these books have this, but the characters are all just really great. You grow to love them and appreciate them as characters. So I loved pretty much every single character in this book, except for a couple of minor characters that I was like, oh, can you just not be here? So that's the first book that I want to recommend you read. It's really one of those books that you should read. Check it out, just at least once. You know, it's great. Now fast forward another 30-40 years and you end up in Nazi Germany. And the book I'm going to recommend you right now is a book that I've recommended you several times, and that is The Book Thief. And this has got to be one of my most favorite books ever. It's amazing. The story of The Book Thief, if you don't know it yet, follows the story of this other little girl, because little girls are just amazing, and her name is Liesel. She's an orphan that ends up living with a foster family in Nazi Germany. It's a story of her growing up and overcoming obstacles, and a story of a girl that loves to read but can't read but learns to read. It's so good. Also, one of the key plot points of the book is that they are hiding a Jew in their basement, and this is not a spoiler because it's in the back of the book right here, okay? It's a story of family, and it's a story of struggle, and it's a story of morality almost. Again, I've talked about this book a lot in my channel because it's just one of those amazing reads. It's got really great characters that you just fall in love with and love and just want to be friends with and want to have, you know, dinner with if you could. Again, this takes place during Germany during the 1940s, late 1930s, during Nazi Germany and the upcoming of Adolf Hitler. It's just an interesting take because it takes place in Germany about Germans that were not Nazis or on the Nazi side. So anyway, it's great. It's a great read. Again, it's amazing. Why just read it? It's so good. And the next book that I want to recommend to you takes place in the late 1960s and 1970s, and it actually takes place in Afghanistan, and that is The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. Haha. This book is one of those books that a lot of people either love or hate, mostly because it's so freaking sad. So anyway, this story follows the story of 2 little boys, not 2 little girls this time around. Their names are Amir and Hassan. The main character here specifically is Amir, and he is this privileged rich kid and who is friends with Hassan, who is his father's servant son. So I guess you could say they're in different socioeconomic levels almost. So basically this is a story of friendship, of tragedy, and of redemption. Again, it's pretty tragic. It takes place during mostly the 1970s, and I believe during that time the Soviets were invading Afghanistan, or the city where they lived in Afghanistan, and so you see some of the characters fleeing from there, having to flee from there and having to relocate. However, even though the story takes place in the 1970-ish, the story is told from the present time, and it's from Amir's point of view. So he tells the story of his friendship with Hassan and his relationship with his father growing up, and just the struggles that they had to encounter and the tragic events that follow their lives. So it's one of the stories that just really makes you think about life. Again, I want to just do another disclaimer that it is a book that you either love or hate, again, because of the sadness of it. Now, the last book that I want to talk about here is a book that takes place in the United States. Welcome back to America. And that is The Help by Catherine Stuckett. I audiobooked this book back in last year, at some point last year, and I absolutely loved it. I actually had already seen the movie, which I know is like this huge crime, but whatever. I watched the movie and I loved the movie, and then I found the book and I found it in audio and I thought, why not? And I listened to it and it was so brilliant, it was so good, it was so good. So this book actually does not follow little boys or little girls. That sounds really creepy. This story follows a group of women during the 1960s, 1970s. It's either during or right before the civil rights movement, and it follows the story of African American women working for the white woman in Virginia, I believe, and just the struggles and the racism that they face, and about this young, ambitious, white, privileged, yet down-to-earth woman, Skeeter, who decides wants to write a book about the help and their lives and the things that they have to go through and what they go through. And at first, of course, the help are like, no way, because we're gonna get in trouble with the ladies that pay us to, you know, have an actual living. Anyway, they end up writing this book that they also titled The Help Within the Book, where they compiled the list of all their stories. It's such an amazing story, especially reading it at this time and place in America or wherever you're living. I think it's just one of those books that you really should give it a chance and read it. It has so many amazing things in it. I think from all of them, this might be one of the least sad books, even though it still has some like parts, but it's not as sad as the other ones. But anyway, again, this is another one of my favorites. It's great. I think that is all I have for you today. I had actually more books in my list, but again, if I put all of them in this video would be a bajillion years long, and nobody wants to listen to me for that long, so hey. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you like some of the books I recommended, and if you have any recommendations for historical fiction novels, please leave them down below because I'm always looking for them. So anyway, feel free to comment down below and give it a thumbs up to this video if you liked it, and please subscribe if you would like to. Again, I'm not forcing you, but if you would like to, please feel free to click the red button down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.